These are the personality traits that girls find most attractive, ranked from the most attractive ones at the top to the least attractive ones at the bottom that you need to avoid. Starting with the first one that I didn't have for the first 19 years of my life, which is emotional intelligence. And after developing it, I promise you, it changed everything for me. I was recently in Norway, and one of the girls I hung out with at an after party told me that emotional intelligence is one of the number one attractive things that she looks for in a guy. Of course, you gotta have your looks to get your foot in the door, but beyond that, it really comes down to forming a deep, meaningful connection, and that is how you're gonna win girls' hearts and minds. So for that reason, this is S tier. You need to have this personality trait. Now, the next one is laziness. This is something that's gonna be a serious detriment to your personality. Being lazy, especially as a man, is so unattractive. If you don't want to go to the gym, if you don't want to work on yourself in any way, shape, or form, you don't want to level up in life, this just signals complacency. It shows a lack of drive. It shows a lack of ambition. It just shows that you don't want to do anything. And when girls get with a guy, a lot of the time they're placing a bet on this man to be a good potential provider. And if you're lazy, that's just going to ruin all of her bets on you. She's just going to be like, why am I betting on this guy who won't do anything to improve himself, to work on anything, try anything? And it's just going to make you very unattractive overall. So for that reason, it is B tier. It's not the worst thing, but it's definitely something you want to avoid and cut out of your personality, because if you do and you're after it, it's going to make you much more attractive. And this third one is charisma, which is so important. And I developed this starting at 1920, and it absolutely changed my life. Charisma is a mix of being just a very warm, likable person while also being very competent and being able to command respect. And it makes you overall just a very magnetic person. If you can develop charisma the right way and you can be a great communicator overall and make people want to be in your presence, you are going to have a very easy time getting girls. And for that reason, I built you guys a high-level communication guide. This is going to break down everything that you need to know in order to be a great dynamic communicator, including all the verbal communication strategies, all the nonverbal cues with positive cues, negative ones, the warmth cues, the competent cues, everything you need to be highly charismatic and succeed at getting girls and just communicating in life. So that guide is going to be completely for free. It's the first link in the description below. This next one's really unattractive, and this is neediness. No girl wants to be around a guy who is super needy and always feels like he needs to be around her or he needs her help with everything, and he's just not independent as a whole. This is going to be something that really takes away from your overall aura as a man, and it's going to make a girl just slowly lose attraction for you. I experienced this myself in my first relationship at 19, and I promise you it was a massive detriment. So for that reason, this is C tier. And the next one on the opposing side of the spectrum is courage. Courage is something that I have applied since I was 19 years old, and I promise you this is one of the most attractive traits that you can display as a man. The reason that I've gotten with most of the girls that I have is because I have displayed courage to go up and talk to them, even when they didn't even give me any signs to come and speak to them, like eye contact and a smile. Those are the easy approaches, but there's been times when I just go up to a girl who I didn't know whether she liked me or not, I had no inclination, and I just started talking to her in that very courageous route, like going up to girls at the beach at random, and I have slept with them because of that courage that I displayed that made me very attractive as an individual. Even if I was terrified within to go and do it, it made me have such a strong masculine presence, and it made me so much more attractive to display that courage. So for that reason, it's S tier. This is something you really want to develop. And this next one is being nonchalant and chill. So this is kind of on the opposite side of the neediness spectrum. This is if you're just like a really relaxed, cool guy. You try and just have a relaxing presence overall. This is definitely something that I embody and embrace at times. So there are certain times when I'm super dialed in, like for business or things like that. But for me, I really like to be relaxed and chill around girls. And sometimes, like, even in how this can apply to different situations, like when a girl was shit testing me, when I said something controversial and she got all snappy, I just started laughing and it was like, you're cute. I don't take it too serious. So I personally find this to be a very attractive trait. it shows your confidence. It shows that you're calm and cool in stressful situations, especially when you apply it then. So for that reason, it's A tier. I think this is a very attractive trait as a man to have. This next one is a huge turnoff for girls, and it is being disrespectful, especially if you're being disrespectful to like waiters or her for no reason. This is gonna really turn girls off. And I've got a story from when I was in Norway that can actually validate this. So you need to have some context for it to fully make sense and why I did what I did. So from early on when I first got there was this girl who I was hanging out with, and this dude started hitting on her in front of me, and like he kind of grabbed her ass too whilst we were talking. It was very intimate, and I was like, what the fuck is this dude doing? And I saw him working as a bartender, and well, like he was working as a bartender where I was getting drinks like a couple weeks later. And when I asked for a drink, he made me the wrong one. And I was like, this fucking dude, no, it's not, like, fuck this guy. And was like, no, you made me the wrong drink, make me the right one. I was not having it with this. I was already with a negative preconceived notion of him because of what he tried to do with that girl I was hanging out with. I was just like, fuck this dude. So I was like, make me the right drink. And then a girl who was standing next to me was like, what are you doing? And I was like, he made the wrong drink. Like, I want the drink I ordered. And then she was like, no, you just got to take it and say thank you. And that kind of just goes to show how girls' mindsets are. Like, she obviously didn't know what happened with me and him with that whole girl situation and why I kind of had a dislike for him. But either way, the way that I acted with him was sort of disrespectful, and she just really didn't like that. Even though I didn't know this girl and we'd barely talked, she was just like, you shouldn't do that. Like, it was kind of that mindset. And if I guarantee if I went to try and talk to her, she probably wouldn't have been too open and receptive to my approach. So it's really something you want to avoid, and for that reason, this is going to be D tier. You don't want to be disrespectful, especially in situations where it's like servers, things like that. The more respectful you are, the more girls are really going to appreciate that. And the next one is elite, which is humor. So this has been something that I've really lacked on, and I struggled so much. I remember trying to make jokes when I was younger in high school, and even like after high school, and them really going wrong, and it like embarrassed me deep down, so I didn't want to make them. But over time, after paying for communication mentorship, after just learning, high levels of emotional intelligence, I've been able to start making more witty remarks and humor kind of jokes and stuff like that in my conversation. And it is so, so valuable. I have now, I'm not going to say like I'm the funniest guy, but like I can make some jokes here and there, and especially in the right situations, I can be a bit funny. And it is such an attractive trait. I tell you, this will win girls over so much. Like, if you're a funny guy, they're absolutely going to love this. And if your jokes are very appropriate to the situation and they're not like, too far-fetched, then they're really going to like you. So I would really recommend trying to learn how to develop your humor. And once again, this is in that conversation or the communication guide. So you can pick that up for free. And this is going to be S tier. And this next one is something you have to be careful of, and this is arrogance. So in my journey of going from a shy, introverted kid who had no success in anything in life to having all this success, being outgoing, confident, starting online businesses, I have also fallen on the spectrum of being arrogant. So this happened particularly about a year ago when I started my sales academy business and was making over 10K a month. I became a little bit arrogant, and this was a huge turnoff for girls. This reflected in my communicative style a lot, and I was more self-centered and focused on talking about myself than talking about other people. And I promise you, the amount of girls that I got with massively dipped. And then once I fixed this arrogance, it went right back to how it was before, and I was cleaning up with girls. So for that reason, this is B tier. This is definitely something you want to avoid, and it's something that can happen when you start to develop your confidence, so you just got to be careful of that. And the next one is going to be elite once again, which is confidence. This is something that, if it's done the right way, is actually extremely, extremely attractive. There's probably nothing more attractive than confidence. See, confidence is just something that you need to have, but your confidence doesn't need to be verbalized like how I was before with arrogance. There's something that you can just pick up on when someone is confident. It's just that calm, internal confidence where it's like you look someone dead in the eyes, you're smiling, you're calm among stressful situations, you can go and talk to that girl, you're smooth, you're witty, you don't have any nerves that you're fighting against when you go and talk to someone. These are the things that are going to show your confidence. Confidence usually speaks for itself. It doesn't have to be vocalized. And if you can really learn how to do this It's going to make you a very charismatic, attractive individual. So for that reason, this is going to be S tier. And this next one is absolutely detrimental, which is insecurity. See, when I was younger, I was very, very insecure about so many different things. I had terrible acne, and this was one reason why I never wanted to talk to girls, because I thought that they wouldn't find me attractive. I am still short. I'm 5'7". I was skinny more, that was more of an issue too when I was younger, was like being very skinny. It was so many different things that I was insecure about that held me back from even wanting to talk a girl. And then let alone when I finally did get a girl at 19 who was mostly just because she was into me is the only reason that relationship happened. I had so many insecurities that were projected onto the relationship, and it just ruined everything for me. So this is something that's absolutely detrimental. The more of your insecurities you can truly let go of and just not even have operating in your mind. Like, I don't even think about the fact that I'm 5'7" or anything really. I don't really care about any aspects. Like, even if I have some acne, like sometimes I remember this weekend I had like a big fucking pimple right in my middle of my eyes. I looked like an Indian dot. I was like, bro, what the fuck? But either way, I was just like, all right, we're just gonna roll with it. There's nothing I can do about it. Just work with what we got. So the less insecure you are, the more attractive you're gonna be. And for this reason, insecurity is a massive detriment, and it is D tier. Now, this next one is something that is pretty valuable, and this is kindness. If you're just a very kind person, girls are gonna like that. I mean, it's not like the most important thing that you want to develop. I think most guys also are gonna be probably too far on the kindness scale. I think this is more impactful if you're more of that masculine, intimidating figure and you're also very kind. I think that can show girls that like soft side and kind of make you more human. But if you're kind of on the nerdy side, you don't have too much muscle, or you're not too accomplished in life, kindness might not be your best friend, right? Because you might kind of like become a pushover. So for that reason, it's A tier. It depends on where you fall in the spectrum on how much you need to use this. And this next one is a massive reason that I'm able to get with the girls that I am. And this is my level of personal development and intelligence overall. We'll kind of just group them together because they kind of go hand in hand. So this is the reason why I'm able to form such meaningful connections with older girls specifically. Girls who have told me that they would never date a man under 30, and then they were there with me going on dates, connecting with me, and they're like, oh man, I can't believe I'm connecting so well with such a young guy. And this is because my level of development and intelligence overall, this is very attractive to girls. One of the things that girls find really unattractive is if you're super immature, you're always saying kind of like kid things. And if you are on the opposite side of the spectrum, really saying things that older guys would say, even as a young guy, they're really going to take you a lot more serious. So for that reason, this is S tier. It's something that you need to develop. So this next one you have to be careful with, and this is being dishonest. So I don't like lie when I'm around girls, but I kind of lie a decent bit. Like, I'm very flexible in my communicative style. Let's put it that way. So I don't always portray everything that is the truth. I kind of can cover it up in my communication, which is something that you'll learn in time. I can say things that are kind of the truth, but they're also kind of disguised, and sometimes this can backfire. And what I've noticed is that girls really don't like when they catch you in a lie or you being dishonest. They really get upset about that shit. So lying is something that is, you need to kind of be careful with it. Just put it that way. Like, because everyone kind of lies to a degree, but you just want to be careful with the lies and not make them too big or too much to the point where you can't recover. So being dishonest is going to be C tier. It's something that can be a huge turnoff, and if you're going to do it, you just have to be very careful with it. And this last one is immaturity. So this is kind of going on the opposite side of the spectrum of self-development and intelligence. Like I was saying, if you're saying things that are kind of kid shit, like this is something I did when I was much younger. Like, I was only focused on, like, with one, like, sort of relationship I had at 17. It really wasn't a relationship. It was kind of just a girl I saw a couple of times, and we labeled it like we were dating, but it really wasn't. I was only trying to focus on, like, getting sex. And that was my only focus. And I learned that I needed to form, a connection. This was one of the lessons I took away from that back in the day. It was because I only thought, like, this was about sex, and I was just like, oh, this is a girl I can sleep with, and that was all I would talk to her about. And it was really just a dumb mindset for me to have, and I didn't really care about her feelings at all. And this really taught me a lot in terms of how relationships are, but that was just showing massive amounts of immaturity. So this was really unattractive for her. And then she ended up breaking up with me, but I really didn't care. I was just so immature at that time. I didn't really care about relationships or anything. So that was a massive lesson. And immaturity is going to be a big turnoff for girls. That's why it's going to be C tier. And once again, boys, if you want to be a dynamic communicator, be able to speed read people, understand nonverbal cues, and have the verbal communicative strategies in order to absolutely dominate in modern dating, you can pick up my high-level communication guide down below completely for free.